Hello everyone, my name of course is Resonant and welcome back to another video. Now thank you guys so much once again. I'm going to say it for the next few videos for 10,000 subscribers because it just means so much for a guy that didn't think he would reach 1,000 subscribers. And to be fair, it's been a little bit insane since I got like 1k in about 2 years. It took me like 2 years to get 1k, and then it took me about 8 months to get to 10k, which is a little bit insane. But we're getting on with this video, and this is going to be a sort of reminiscing video. I'm going to do a few of these videos looking back at Mount and Blade Warband and seeing the best parts of it. But this video is going to be on my top 10 favourite weapons in Mount and Blade Warband. Now we all know there is so many weapons that you can choose from in Mount and Blade Warband. They all have their different perks, and a lot of them have their disadvantages, to say the least. But all in all, each weapon has its own use, and if you use it well, you've got a very good chance of winning any battle you get into if you have the skill to do so. Let's get straight into it. Now of course this is just my opinion. I'd love to see your list down in the comments, so after you've watched this video, go to the comments, leave your top 10 favourite weapons in Mount and Blade Warband and tell me why, and I'll be sure to respond to them. I try and respond to as many comments as possible. So at number 10 we have the bamboo spear. Now you may be thinking, why the bamboo spear? The bamboo spear is a terrible weapon, and you may find that throughout the weapons in this list that these are kind of, some of them have their small niches that I just really like, and they're ones that I like to use and the feel of them. Now the bamboo spear, the reason I love to use this is because it is great for anti-cavalry. Not only that is it's light, so you're able to use it against infantry as well. Having your bamboo spear along with maybe a kite shield or a board shield is such a good defensive stance that you can take onto the battlefield, especially with oncoming cavalry coming at you. Being able to take them down with one swift spike of your spear is one of the most satisfying things that I feel in Mount and Blade Warband, just dismounting someone off their horse. Now the bamboo spear is also pretty effective against infantry. Even if you're not using it with a shield, a lot of the time if I'm fighting one-on-one against another infantryman, I put my shield on my back and I just get the spear out and I go absolutely mental with it. If you know how to block with a spear, they are very deadly weapons because you have the combination of reach, and also you can have a lot of speed in there if you choose the right weapon. At number 9 I have chosen the light lance. Now once again you may be thinking, why are you choosing the light lance, not the heavy lance or the great war lance and things like that? And once again, it's just the feel of it for me. If you're on horseback, if you're going at a certain speed, it does not matter what type of lance you have. If you couch lance someone at full speed, it's most likely going to be a one-hit kill every single time. So for me, I'd rather pick a light lance where even if I do get dismounted, I'm able to wield it just as I would like a bamboo spear. They are very fast, they are very efficient at dismounting cavalry and also infantry in the right situation. That's why I picked the light lance over the heavy lance or the great lance, since they're just a lot easier to maneuver around, and having that extra availability to use more skill rather than just pure power. At number 8 is the spiked mace. Now the spiked mace is probably one of my worst enemies and my best friends, since if you're against it, it is such a pain, especially if you're fighting against someone that just loves to spam. If anyone is unfamiliar with this concept in Mount and Blade Warband, getting a spiked mace and whacking over and over again leaves the enemy that you're fighting against no time to get any attacks back at you, since it is very quick, and at the same time it has a very high chance of knocking the enemy off their feet. Having this knockdown ability with the spiked mace is just the most frustrating thing personally that I find fighting against this, but having it on your side is very useful. It doesn't necessarily do a ton of damage, but being able to knock your opponent off your feet gives you a massive advantage in one-on-one duels, and even if you're surrounded by a group of enemies, since knocking each of them down gives you either a chance to run away or take them out one by one. Coming in at number 6 is the siege crossbow. Now the siege crossbow is the most powerful of the crossbows. It is also the most heavy, and it does take a bit longer to reload than some of the other crossbows. But for me, a crossbow is not an attack weapon. It's not an offensive weapon. You use it for defending let's say a portcullis or a castle that you're upon, or even a choke point or hilltop that your army is upon. I don't normally use it if I am attacking a castle in a multiplayer game, but using it for defense is extremely effective. I would definitely go and recommend checking out my What If 200 Rodok Crossbowman. I think it's Rodok Sharpshooters actually. That is actually a very popular video. I don't know why that got so many more views than my other What If videos, but that is a very good example, and I might put a few clips in the background of this video of how having so many of these Rodok Sharpshooters with these siege crossbows can be so effective. Now, of course, the heavy crossbow is very similar to the siege crossbow. It does a slightly less damage, but for me, it is also a very nice weapon to choose. But the siege crossbow just nips it on this one. Now, going on to a solely Nordic weapon, I have actually chosen for number 5, the Great Long Axe. Now, this axe is probably the most satisfying weapon to use in Mount and Blade Warband, just for the pure sheer power you feel when you are wielding it. The problem with these two-handed weapons is you need to know how to block without a shield. Now, this is a skill that a lot of people can actually do in Mount and Blade Warband, but to get it perfect, to be able to do it every single time, takes a lot of practice and work. But once you have mastered that, using the Great Long Axe is so satisfying. Charging into battle, you're able to get one-hit kills a lot of the time if you do overhead swipes onto their head, but it just does a ton of damage, and especially the satisfying nature of it where it can smash through shields in a 2 or 3 hits is very nice. Even the heavier shields, the Great Long Axe is really good for that. It also has some nice reach, hence its name, Great Long Axe. So you are actually able to defend yourself from things like cavalry, and of course if you're stuck in a bit of a twist with a lot of enemies attacking you at the same time, the Great Long Axe is always a good weapon to get you out of a sticky situation. Now at number 4 we have the Warbow. Now, the reason I picked the Warbow over something like the Longbow or the Nomad Bow is it's probably one of my favourite just for the balance of it. If you have something like the Longbow, yes, you have more range. You might have slightly more damage as well depending on the arrows you choose, but it does take quite a long time to reload this weapon. And if you choose something like the Kurgit Composite Bow or the Nomad Bow or something like that, yeah, it doesn't do quite as much damage, but it does have some quick fire rate. Now, for me, the Warbow is such a good balance between those things. It's not as slow as a Longbow, but it does a lot more damage than something like the Nomad Bow. This is why I really like to use it into battle, and for some reason it just looks really badass to me. The shape of the Warbow is really nice. So this is why I really love to use the Warbow, and that's probably one of my favourite missile weapons that you can actually use. This is the bow used a lot by the Vegas. Now coming in at number 3, we have the Elite Scimitar. Now the reason I'm calling it the Elite Scimitar is the reason it comes in at number 3. Once again, a bit like the Spiked Mace, it is such a pain to fight against, but to play with an Elite Scimitar is probably one of the most satisfying and enraging things for your opponent that you can actually do, since the speed of the Elite Scimitar is so fast. It's probably one of the fastest one-handed weapons in the game. So you're able to literally just go up to an enemy, spam the hell out of them, get some really good hits in there, and you will win duels a lot of the time. The Scimitar also works a lot like that, but it does a lot less damage, as you might expect. That is why the Elite Scimitar is coming in at number 3, and of course, once again, it is really nice to use for yourself, but to play against the Elite Scimitar is hell. And we're getting close to the number 1 spot, but at number 2, we have the Morning Star. Now, the Morning Star is something that has caused a bit of a meme on my channel and in the Persistent World community. Every time I log into a Persistent World game now on that mod, people just say, "Hey Resonant, are you going to use the Morning Star with one hand again?" Stuff like that. The Morning Star is a 1/2-handed weapon, and because of this, you're able to use it with a shield, but it's most preferred to use it without a shield, and if you use it with a shield, people just give you hell. As you might see from some of the comments of my Persistent World videos, I have used the Morning Star with a shield in those situations, and that was because I was surrounded by a lot of enemies, okay? I had a right to use it with a shield. But of course, using the Morning Star without a shield, using it two-handed, just gives you that extra power, able to smash down on the enemy. And that is why I really love this. It's able to smash through shields, it's able to do a lot of damage if you hit in the right places. But of course, you do have the availability to use it with a shield, even if you do get a lot of hate from your viewers for doing it. Bloody bastard. And finally, in the number 1 spot of my favourite weapon in Mount and Blade Warband. Now, once again, remember to leave your list down in the comments. I really love to see what you think. But my favourite weapon in Mount and Blade Warband is the hatchet. No, I'm joking. It's not the hatchet. It will never be the hatchet. The hatchet does not deserve to live. It is the greatsword. Now, the greatsword, the reason I put this as my favourite weapon in Mount and Blade Warband is because it was one of the first times I remember loving this game. I know that sounds really weird, but I always used to not really enjoy Mount and Blade Warband until I discovered the greatsword. Going into multiplayer battles, I always used to get destroyed. I wasn't very good at the game back in the day, as you might expect when I hadn't had too much practice. But then I discovered the greatsword, and I was able to go into a group of 4 or 5 enemies and just murder and slaughter them all with the power behind the greatsword, being able to 1 or 2 hit any enemy I come across, and being able to be satisfying, block any incoming attacks, and also having some really good reach on it, and doing an inward stab with your greatsword, able to dismount any cavalry that comes across, is very, very satisfying. And this is really why I got into Mount and Blade, using this greatsword, being able to be one of the most powerful people on the battleground. And if you see me in a multiplayer game with the Swadians, I'll always be using the greatsword, since it's just probably my favourite weapon of all time in Mount and Blade Warband for those reasons. But like I said, I'd love to see a list of your favourite weapons in Mount and Blade Warband down in the comments. I know this was a bit of a weird video, and I don't know, I feel a little bit weird making it, but I felt like it needed to be done because a lot of people ask me questions about Mount and Blade Warband. Since I've been playing this game for years now, and people like to know what's your favourite weapon in Mount and Blade Warband, what's your favourite troop in Mount and Blade Warband. And I have already done a top 10 units in Mount and Blade Warband, but people kind of wanted to see this as well. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like it if you did, it means so much. And you know what to do if you didn't, but remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and leave some comments down below and in my Steam group for more ideas on videos you want to do. I'll also have a link to my Discord server in the description of this video. You have to copy that, paste it into Discord, you can come on my Discord server and I'll be able to talk to you guys. I did put it up, I think it was at 1,000 subscribers I actually set it up, but I haven't really used it much since. So we're going to reinstate that, I'm going to play some games with you guys, and we're just basically going to get in with that. But other than that, guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video, and until then, I will see you in the next one.